Let me just start off by saying that as a Man United supporter, I've got nothing but hatred in my heart for Liverpool. I hope they lose every single game they ever play, including friendlies, and wish them nothing but the absolute worst moving forward. However, what we witnessed last night in the game against Tottenham was a scandal right up there with Watergate, and frankly speaking, I took no pleasure in the final result because of the foul play going on behind the scenes. Just to be clear, this has nothing to do with Tottenham and Ange Postecoglou. The turnaround they've had since not only stinking up the Prem last season but also losing their talisman is nothing short of remarkable, and I'd love to see them continue going down the same trajectory. That being said, fine margins are what decide top level sport, and given it wasn't so long ago that a goal line clearance saw the title go to City instead of Liverpool, yesterday could very well turn out to be the reason the latter misses out on silverware, and that is unfucking acceptable. As showcased by the graphic on screen, there's no debate to be had that Luis Diaz was onside, and given these clowns over at Stockley Park have no problem taking 6 or 7 minutes to come to the right decision in other matches, it does make you wonder how crooked the sport really is. I'm not one for conspiracy theories and always shut down those who so much as suggest that corruption might be at play, but that really was the straw that broke the camel's back. After all, this is the same sport where Man City are able to break every rule in the book without a care in the world and get away with it, so why should things on the pitch be any different from off it? The PGMOL's excuse post-game beggars belief too. It was initially believed that Darren England had failed to draw the lines on screen while checking for offside, but it turns out that VAR incorrectly thought the on-field decision was that a goal had been awarded, even though it had not. Not only is this problematic in regards to the final result yesterday, but also calls into question the credibility of so many other decisions we've seen over the last few years. Anyone blaming the technology itself needs to give their head a wobble. Whether it be cricket, rugby or tennis, other sports have had little to no issues when it comes to implementing semi-automated systems to enhance decision making, and therefore the buck stops with the individuals in the hot seat. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that this is largely a Premier League specific problem rather than a footballing one. For reasons known only to them, the authorities that be opted against introducing the offside tech we saw at the World Cup, and considering how successful it was in Qatar, fans should be given an explanation for why the fuck it wasn't brought in. There was no line drawing bollocks with it. Instead, it had the capability of identifying skeleton points, including the head, toes, upper arm and knees, on multiple players simultaneously via a real-time alert system using artificial intelligence, thus taking out the human error factor completely. If I had to hazard a guess as to why the best league on the planet refuses to have that around, the only logical explanation that springs to mind is that referees want to remain in control of the final decision, and if that doesn't suggest money is being exchanged under the table, I don't know what will. Which brings me on to my next point. Why the flying fuck were Darren England, Dan Cook and Michael Oliver officiating in the UAE just 48 hours prior to the clash between Spurs and Liverpool? Not only is that a potential conflict of interest given who Man City's owners are, but also doesn't make an iota of sense in terms of the workload being placed upon the aforementioned individuals. As for the PGMOL, they can stick their apologies up their arse. Believe it or not, this was their 14th apology since August 2022, and guess what? It did fuck all for anyone. It's a bit like shooting someone in the head and then saying sorry as they lay there dead on the ground. The damage has been done, pal. There's no reversing it now. I've said this before in previous videos, but the refereeing network we have in England is basically a syndicate. It's full of blokes who were bullied or maligned for much of their lives that now want to feel in control given the powerful positions that they occupy, and in all fairness to them, that's exactly what they're doing. For the most part, they have each other's backs too, as Mike Dean admitted when discussing Anthony Taylor and choosing not to send him for a review during Chelsea's 2-2 draw with Spurs last season so that he didn't get any more grief than he already had. You see Premier League managers losing their job because of shite decisions, but these bastards remain untouchable simply because they never have to face the media and explain why they've come to the conclusion that they have. Before ending, I do want to say that it's very easy to be critical of on-field referees while sitting at home in your armchair passing judgment, and I have nothing but respect for how difficult it is to manage such fast-paced and physical games in real time. But in terms of VAR, errors should only be happening once or twice a season, not a bloody week. Do let me know where you stand on all of this down below, and I'll catch you in the next one, folks. Peace.